And the argument I'm making tonight, or what I'd like you to think about, is whether you're a social entrepreneur or you're a business entrepreneur, or what I call a noble cause entrepreneur, in any kind of organization, if you want it to be a thriving organization. We're going to talk about what that means. In other words, maybe you can have it all and capture your heart at the same time, that you really need both. And so we'll talk about that. The idea is if you get into entrepreneurship just for the money, it's unlikely going to be a thriving organization. And as the organization grows, like what we're talking about, how important is the noble cause? So we start with a quote. Do you want to spend the rest of your life selling sugared water, or do you want a chance to change the world? Who said it, to whom, and when, or just who said it? Anybody know?
It was Vance Brown.
Yeah, by Vance Brown. That was a good question. It's supposed to have been,
Steve Jobs says that he was the CEO of Pepsi.
Yeah, to Scully, trying to recruit him to say, do you want to, he was looking for a CEO, and they go to PepsiCo, and the CEO there was a guy by the name of John Scully, and so Steve Jobs said, do you want to change the world, or do you want to create sugar water? Now, let me say this right off the bat. Selling sugar water can be noble. Okay, so I don't want to, but it's interesting, and I'm going to talk a little bit. We're going to have, we're going to have some fun with Steve Jobs. Who has read his biography, the biography of Steve Jobs that was done? A couple of you. I'm telling you, it's a big read, but it's an incredible read if you want to be an entrepreneur, because the guy was an entrepreneur. Let's face it, even today, and they've lost a lot of market cap in the last, recently. I think they were wondering whether they're going to be the first $1 trillion organization. I think they're trading today, but I think as of today, it's gone back and forth this last week. They're still the most valuable company in the world over Exxon, and it goes back and forth. And so maybe, just maybe, we might have something. I know I have something that I might learn. And so that's why I'm reading the book, and that's why you're going to see a couple of clips of what makes an entrepreneur, and what is a noble cause, and those kind of things. So, some initial thoughts, kind of set a framework for this on entrepreneurship. What's more satisfying than having a big idea and turning it into a thriving business, knowing all the way the harder you work, the more reward you can expect? Just the kind of some of the driving forces behind why you'd even consider being an entrepreneur and the so what's. Next, there falls a shadow, this is T.S. Eliot, there falls a shadow between the conception and the creation. With innovation, new ideas are only part of the equation. Execution is as important. And I'll tell you this, there was a day, the largest company I've ever run was at the time it was one of the top 100 software companies in the United States. I didn't start it, but I always was, infatuated by people that there were 1,000 ideas. I mean, everybody's got an idea every day. So the question, is so important. Can you make that and turn it into something that as a product somebody would want to pay for it, right? And that is so important. And that's why you guys, it's awesome that there's a program like this on entrepreneurship here. So hopefully you get an idea and you see an idea, and then you can think, hey, maybe we could do something about that. And maybe it's a need that fills a void and can turn a profit. And, so that's real important. And that's why I love the fact that, I was talking up here, there's a biology major, communications major, there's some business major. You think, it's entrepreneur just for the business people? No. The hope is that in whatever, career path you have, you'll have the eyes to see and the courage potentially to maybe do something with that. If I've seen further than other men, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. Sir Isaac Newton. I love this quote because, rarely is there ever some huge leap. Now, I'm stunned, and I know this dates me, but it's really true. When I was here, no internet, no iPhones, no cell phones, no email, no Facebook, no Google. It was, wow, you're trying to think, I can't imagine a world like that. And I'll tell you this, I couldn't imagine a world like we're in today. Back then, I was a student, here in the 80s. So it's crazy how fast things change. But it's really odd that even then, and this is what I want to, hopefully get you excited about. You happen to be in one of the most important, innovative times in the history of the world in terms of ideas and how rapidly things are changing. There's an information revolution going on. So that thing of keeping your eyes open for incredible opportunities, I'm saying there's it's all been done now. Now we have the cell phones. Now we have the internet. Now we have email and the whole bit. It's amazing what is happening. And most of the changes, I'm telling you, it might be this change is worth $1 and this change is worth $1 billion. That one additional step that because I stood on the shoulder of a giant, so I was able to, I mean, the first interface from, who had the first graphical user interface? You know, really graphical look. First that old DOS character base which none of you have ever seen.
Xerox.
Gosh, you're a history buff then. I mean, most would say Apple, right? Because Apple would always beat up on the IBM, Microsoft, because they didn't understand a graphical, nice laid out like the iPhone interface was all these character-based kind of DOS kind of things. So, but again, it was just, he took it just to the next level. And, today it's the wealthiest company in the world. Last, and this is one of my experiences at Wake Forest, and this is what I was sitting in this chair, maybe like one of you, and I was sitting near the back always, so I get you guys, I'm not going to slam on you. And I was sitting there probably because it was a really good looking girl about 2 doors down, 2 chairs down. We're going to sit right next, but it was close enough, so I'm just being real. That was the truth. But there was something about this professor. He's no longer here, but he was amazing to me. He really changed. He opened up something, maybe a window, and some things I've not considered. But he said entrepreneurship is the engine that drives the American dream, the fuel for economic growth, but it doesn't come without cost and risk. And, how do you overcome cost and risk with courage? How do you get courage? Is you get prepared. And that's what you guys are doing. But I do want to tell you a story that, again, it was one of those eye-opening things for me, because I was in the back and I was an econ major. We've got one right here. You're a sophomore, so you've had at least first semester, right? Don't worry, we're safe. And, so I was in the back, and he was putting up this thing called elasticity of demand. Some of it's the sensitivity to change in price. So, if it's not sensitive to change in price, man, increase the price, right? And there was a formula he put up. It had to do with, a variable here, quantity 1 and quantity 2, and old price, new price, and it just so happened that back then, you got to understand, calculators were even brand new. I mean, I learned how to go out with slide rules, and so calculators were just, kind of hot off the press. But I just happened to have this, I call him my geeky older brother, who, this guy would go into high school with these, plug-in to boards kind of computers, like, God, dude, that's so boring. I'll never. Be careful. I will never do anything of that computer-related stuff. That was the vow I made back then. So I was in class, but I'd been around it a long time, so when I bought my calculator, I happened to buy one of the latest greatest that actually programmed a little bit in BASIC. Some of you may have heard of that language. And so I was sitting in the back, and I just, while he's putting up the formula, I went ahead and started programming in the formula. So rather than putting in the numbers, whatever, on the little screen, it would ask you, enter the quantity 1, it'd ask you all the questions, and then it would give you the answer, and it would tell you if it's elastic or inelastic, and if it's elastic, it could tell you what to do about it, inelastic, not sensitive, then decrease the price, and it would tell you the whole thing. So I went up to him after class, not a big deal, but I just wanted to show him, hey, I just put this into, can we use calculators on exams? Basically, I wanted to know, because this would be easy, right? And I was sitting there, and he was just looking, and he looked at me with this astonishment. And you would think I had just hit a 3-pointer to win the game tonight against Duke, at the buzzer. But he had never seen anything like it. I had just gotten into it, but you got to understand where things were. And he was, here from '69 to 2006. This is the first time he'd ever seen somebody, a little device like that, crank out his elasticity, which made him start thinking about all kinds of things. He ended up showing the whole class and telling the whole class about it. He ended up going to his other classes, his upper level, higher level courses, telling his class about it. So what do you think that did to me? It's that moment where I go, I don't know why that was so great. I'm not real sure, but there's something going on here. There's just that moment of, that something's going on right here, and I don't know all about it, but I want to learn more. Because I've never had, I was a freshman, and I'm getting all these accolades from the top. He's the chairman of the economics department, and it's like, dude, that just doesn't happen. So it was a big deal, and then I got, okay, maybe I'll, I know my brother was kind of geekish, but maybe I'll take in my calculus course, there's a lab, and I just kind of came naturally, and I thought, well, maybe I'll, experiment with that. But this is one of the most important. There's going to be a couple times I'll say, if you remember nothing else, just have the eyes to see, the ears to hear in your generation, and whatever you're doing. And I'm going to show a little clip here in a moment, to where you have that moment where you go, I wonder. So take a look at this clip. I'm going to dim the lights. This is, by the way, I know this is hard to believe. I better set it up a little bit. You know, there's a new movie coming out called Jobs, about Steve Jobs. And his partner's name was, who said it? Steve Wozniak. And so Steve Jobs was kind of the salesman guy, and Wozniak was kind of that, more of the, technical guy. And Steve, one thing about him, he had the eyes to see. Now, I know this sounds strange, but it used to be that, there was no such thing as a keyboard where you typed on it and on a screen, and it happened to be a television screen, that you saw characters displayed. Oh my gosh. Okay, and he's just like, well, what's so big about that? So take a look at this clip so you can get a feel.
It's the Industrial Revolution. No more desks, no more mainframes. That changes everything. It's controllers. It's profound. How did you not tell me about this before?
No, I was just working on it for my own reasons.
Exactly. For your own. For you. It's what you wanted. It's what your gut, your instinct wanted. Your big evolved brain wanted something that didn't exist, so you just willed it into existence. What do you call the system?
The operating system.
The operating system. It
That's what
just
I call it.
shows.
Yeah, it's just a real-time display of current operation.
You can see what you're working on while you're working on it.
Okay, look.
This is freedom. This is freedom to create and to do and to build and as artists, as individuals.
Look, you're overreacting. Even if you were developing this for freaks like us, and I doubt you are, nobody wants to buy a computer. Nobody.
How does somebody know what they want if they've never even seen it?
How does somebody know what they want if they've never even seen it? How do I know what my career would have been back in 1985 when I graduated, when it didn't even exist at the time? And that's why one of the reasons I'm such a fan of a liberal arts education is to have, you just don't know. You just don't know. But, and that's what I want to talk about, entering, some of you, any seniors here? Okay, so somebody who knows what you're going to do next, tell me what you're going to do. What are you going to be when you grow up? You're a senior now. What are you going to be? I mean, everybody's asking that, right? So somebody, raise your hand. What are you going to be? You think I'm going to pick on you, right? Any ideas? Anybody got a job next lined up? Okay, love you.
Lawyer?
Okay. Yeah, I was the exact same place. When I was a senior, I'm going to be a lawyer, law school. Great. And that's the next step in that journey. And what I'll tell you is, and by the way, why do you want to be a lawyer?
I really don't have, I don't want to passionate anymore. English or history, double major, so good at writing.
I wonder if can you make so much money have anything to do with it?
A little bit.
Maybe, yeah. And absolutely. And this is what I always thought that life is supposed to look like. It's kind of like this linear equation where you have dots, these are milestones in your life, right? You have little dots in your life, and one of my dots was exactly that. And, telling the story of, went to Wake Forest and figured to go on to law school, did that, and did pretty well there. In fact, it was really cool because I thought I could use this computer stuff because I was, did computer science, and develop this whole new area of law called intellectual property relative with respect to computer software, and this was hot. And even the big partners in the firm were like, man, we don't even understand this stuff. They didn't know what source code was versus object code. It's like, it was a brave new world. And so it was just perfect. I thought, kind of going down that path. So I had a dot going from there to there. And then here's that debt, okay? So I'm not discouraging this, okay? Because it was really good. So I'm sitting in there, and you gotta understand, I went out and I was making some good money. Back at the time, it was amazing money. I worked for this firm. It's called Parker Poe. I don't know if there's a big firm in North Carolina. Back then, it was Parker, Poe, Thompson, Bernstein, Gage, and Preston. And so I found myself, working these incredible hours, doing pretty well, but then finding myself in the library one time writing a brief and realizing, don't know if I like this. Now I was married by that time, and she was like, not the time to have that discussion afterwards, still paying off your student loans, right? So then I wanted to talk and meet Mr. Parker and Poe, Mr. Bernstein, Gage, and Mr. Preston, and see, if they're jumping around, loving what they're doing, or if they're just not. And by the way, I have seen lawyers who love what they're doing, okay? And it's seasons I've done it and loved it. But the point is, it's like, I've talked to them and they were like, I just wasn't seeing the passion. I wasn't seeing something right here. Like, so why are you doing it? Kind of thing. Because I'm like, I'm going to invest the rest of my career in something. And then, we were representing these young entrepreneurial companies in Research Triangle Park. And I would see these entrepreneurs come in. It was so funny. Some of these guys they're just, dude, you're serious. You have no money and not near enough money. And they were just like, it's going to work. You don't understand this and this and this. And they didn't, but they were loving it. They were having a blast. And I was like, it was one of those moments that, there's a lot of things that happen as far as dots that connect the dots. Sometimes they're not all real good. The reason I entered law school originally was I didn't know what else I wanted to do, and heck, they made pretty good money. And so, I thought, as good as anything in the computer law area sounded really good. This, though, I found, this organic looking thing, is that what you call biology more? Okay, good. Biology class ought to show some respect. But, you'll find in life, it just really doesn't work that way. There'll be those ups and downs and these career turns. And, I have so many in my life, I won't go in, I can't tell my whole life story, that if you live enough life, life knocks you some curves. And, some devastating times, and there's some incredible times. And the reason I even bring this up is, we talked about it takes courage. It takes courage in order to do certain things in life, like start a company, start a business. And I'm telling you what, it's going to take courage to live life, right? I'll show you a quote here in a moment, but it's about life is going to be beautiful and life is going to be terrible. And so so go live life. Anybody seen The Shawshank Redemption? Okay, I know I'm dating, but some of these movies are classics. I expect you to have seen them because they're like classic novels, okay? But, The Shawshank Redemption, you got to get busy living or get busy dying kind of thing. And life is going to throw some curves. And so I'd say, but anyway, get busy living. So what makes this unknown as far as life and life decisions, and the question mark is regardless of what life directions we take and what life takes on us and puts on us, making a dent for the good of humanity, leaving a noble legacy. And I say just living for a better story. At the end of the day, your life is going to be a story. And, you always wonder what's going to be said. This incredible friend right here, Bob Mills, has just announced that he, after 41 years, is leaving Wake Forest University. And to me, it's like, that is taking part of the DNA out of Wake Forest to me, Bob. But I'll tell you, this guy has so many stories this man has some incredible stories to tell. And I love the man because of those stories and how he's handled them. And that's so living your life for a better story, okay, is going to be part of the challenge. And this is Angelo, that's all these Wake Forest connections. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. It's that thing of, let's sing your song kind of thing. It's sing your song. And I hope, by the way, I have zero regrets going to law school. It's amazing how during my entrepreneur days, when some worked, some failed, some did well, some didn't, I had that to fall back on. And I got to tell you, zero regrets in education in general. I can't remember one class I ever took that that was a regret. It's amazing how the dots seem to somehow connect. And here's the world, beautiful and terrible things have happened. Do not be afraid. And here's a Steve Jobs quote. If you haven't seen his commencement address from Stanford in 2005, I encourage everybody to watch it. But you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down. And this approach has made all the difference in my life. But just believing, with whatever life hits you with, the dots will connect. Faith, whatever you want to call it. And I can stand testing of that. I know Bob can. This is one of my dots. So I met a girl here at Wake Forest. And I was a junior and she was a freshman. And I won't tell that whole story how that happened. But the only way this happens, look, I'm a salesman. I was a salesman. And she was not from North Carolina, so she thought my accent was kind of funny, and that's how I got my first date, because she blew me off. So salesmen have to be kind of persistent. And so, but there's more to this story. It was one of my important dots. And, you know, but I want to get married. I'm impulsive. I know it's hard to believe, but I want to get married right then. You know, and we could just pull it off and somehow it'd work out. So I will ask her dad, and Dad, you have to wait until you graduate. Until she graduates before you can marry. And I was 2 years old. I'm like, man, that's a long time. You know, I'm thinking 2 years. Yeah, wow. So anyways, finally she graduated on a Monday, because they have graduation here for some reason on Mondays. So I know there's some reason behind it, but that's another story. But so Tuesday we got married, right in Wade Chapel. True story, and I'm thinking that my buddies would all come, and I wasn't thinking, well, her sorority, they're all still there, they can stay an extra day, but my friends are like gone and scattered from everywhere, and it's like her side of, anyway, you know, that you get a picture. But here's another thing explained as far as connecting the dots. Does anybody recognize anybody in this picture else that you should know? I thought I heard something. Okay, we'll go on. So, this guy right here, anybody? So this is your new provost, Rogan Kirsch, okay? And this is my wife and Rogan, and you know, before when we were in a, you know, we were both Theta Chi's here, and this is I'm sure a Theta Chi party that you came to. It's the point. 30 years ago, seriously, I'm back there in the back, you know, trying to do my best to make the best possible move I could make. It usually was bad, and here we are today, and Rogan is the provost of the university, and you know, I'm sitting here speaking in front of you. What an honor! And I could have never dreamed that scenario. So, you know, Rogan, I figured, I'm like, the provost, you ought to be able to get a ticket tonight, right? I'm just saying, the provost ought to be able to get a ticket. So, you know, that's why I'm really excited. You can tell. So anyway, you never know like what the world's going to bring. This particular clip, it's a little longer. And again, you're going to go, man, we got some dude back from the 80s and he's showing all these 80s clips. Look, I watch modern day movies. I have kids your age, all right? A senior in college and a sophomore in college and then a 15-year-old. So I get it. But there's some movies that survive the test of time. And anything that survives the test of time, which is what I'm trying to say, how to build a business that survives the test of time. You know, and that's what makes a thriving company. You know, there's something to be said. So who in here has seen the movie Jerry Maguire? Okay, that's enough. But here's the scenario, and it kind of sets itself up. So Jerry becomes, hey, what's your name? Because you're going to be a lawyer up here. You're a lawyer. What's your name?
Colby.
Okay, so Colby might decide to do it. Jerry, you go to law school and become a sports agent, which that's what I really want to do with law. And Jerry becomes a sports agent. But I want you to listen to some key words about what went wrong and what was going wrong with this clip. So take a look at this clip. It's a little long, but it's good. I'm watching the time.
I'm the guy you don't usually see. I'm the one behind the scenes. I'm the sports agent. Hey, I'm the hurt you this year. How are you doing? Listen, the door's always open in the morning. Come and get a real intro. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, yeah, that's right. I've got to go to a meeting right now. You know what I'm going to talk about? You. I killed you. I'm an animal. We got to save you. I hail you. How much is this going to cost? You and I both know there's a number you can afford. So I'm just going to write it down and move forward from there. I can afford it. I would say winning is cheap. You know this focus when the new player holds a team jersey and poses with the owner? That's me in a way. Inside that building, that's where I work. SMI, Sports Management International. I handle the lives and dreams of 72 clients and get an average of 264 phone calls a day. It's what I do.
I will not rest until I have you holding your coat, wearing your own shoe, playing a Sega game, featuring you while singing your own song, a new commercial starring you, broadcast during the Super Bowl in a game you are winning. And I will not sleep until that happens.
It's what I do best.
It's 15 minutes to call me back.
But I'll be honest with you. I started noticing a few years ago and didn't say a word. In the quest for the big dollars, a lot of the little things are going wrong.
Will you call me that? Can you send my card?
You know, I'm sorry, little fella. I can't sign this particular brand of card. Only Pro Jam Blue Dot cards.
Lately, it's gotten worse.
Okay.
You know your name?
Wait, this is my boy. This is my agent.
Take care, little guy.
Mr. McGuire.
Yeah.
This is his fourth concussion. Shouldn't somebody get him to stop?
Here, it would take a tank to stop your dad. It would take all 5 Super Trooper VR warriors to stop your dad. Right?
Who would I become? Just another shark in a suit?
Two days later, at a corporate conference in Miami, a breakthrough.
I already had 18 million other tables.
Breakdown? Breakthrough. I couldn't escape one simple thought. I hated myself. No, here's what it was. I hated my place. I had so much to say and no one to listen. And then it happened. It was the oddest, most unexpected thing. I began writing what they call a mission statement. Not a memo, a mission statement. You know, a suggestion of the future of our company. A night like this doesn't come along very often. I seized it. It started out as 1 page, became 5. Suddenly, I was my father's son again. I was remembering the simple pleasures of this job. How I ended up here out of law school, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field. The way we are meant to protect them in health and injury. With so many clients, we had forgotten what was important. I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I'm not even a writer. I was remembering even the words of the original sports agent, my mentor, the late great Dickie Fox, who said,
The key to this business is personal relationships.
suddenly it was all pretty clear. The answer was fewer clients. Less work, more attention, caring for ourselves, games too, just starting our lives. Really? Hey, I'll be the first to admit, what I was writing was somewhat touchy-feely. I didn't care. It was the me that I always wanted to be. I took in the bag to a copy mat in the middle of the night and printed up 110 copies. Even the cover looked like the catcher in the run. I entitled it, The Things We Think and Do Not Say. The Future of Our Business.
That's how you become great, man.
Yes. Everybody got it. I was 35. I started my life.
How long you do? About a week.
Don't just love it. Got your heart, man. You go, give him a week. Any other like quotes that just hit you? I mean, no, that's really risking it, but and you'd have to see it several times. One that hit me was this thing about in the pursuit of the big dollars, he kind of lost what was important, and those little things, the smell of the grass. He even said, I felt, I was writing that memo that mattered. I became my father's son again. That's that's a line, and basically we're saying that I now was writing a story that mattered. A story that matters. And what is a story that matters? So, how do we find happiness and life satisfaction? My wife is a counselor and does a lot of reading in this area, and as you can imagine, a guy like me would need to marry a counselor. So I get 24/7, which has really been important. But from this book on positive education, how do you find life satisfaction? Well, there's life of pleasure. Some of us, just by the way, are lucky enough to just have it in our DNA that we don't actually get depressed. Others of us, that's in our DNA, you're going to suffer with things like depression, and it's just kind of what you're born with. You're going to have some of that. Some people naturally look a little glass half full, glass half empty. There's a DNA approach that can't do a lot about that. You can do a lot about that, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But, by the way, money. Would I like to have the money of, Steve, Bill Gates and those kinds of players out there? I mean, it's a lot of money, but the studies are showing that really after about, I think it's somewhere around $75,000, you're really not happier than the Bill Gateses of the world. I know you're like, well, give me a chance to improve that. I get it. I have trouble with that too, but I'm not a statistician and figuring all those kind of studies and do those kind of studies. But it's interesting. The weather, like, hey, by the way, you can all thank me. I brought an umbrella. I got it from Grayland, brought an umbrella so it wouldn't rain. So of course it didn't. I had to coat that thing around. If I hadn't brought it, I'd be soaked up here and drenched. So you're welcome. Next level. That's the first level. Certain things you can have some impact. You can't change the weather, right? You have certain DNA. But here's the good news. The DNA that is in your DNA that's just fixed in there apparently is not the biggest part of what leads to happiness. Good news, right? Because you can't do anything about those things, right? So, what's the next level of life satisfaction? Is this thing called an engaged life. I got to tell you, I love doing this. I feel like, this is part of, I call it swinging my sword. I love to share. I love that maybe some of my wounds, some of my, scars, some of my mess ups, maybe they can be somewhat redeemed by sharing with some students. And, who knows, one person gets impacted, that kind of thing of, it was good. And you're going to want to find, this is what's hard. It's hard this time in life when you're between the ages of 18 and 22, most of you, to say, I'm going to be X. When you haven't done X, and you're not going to know, what that's going to be. So that thing of finding what makes you come truly alive, and so you can write that story of your life is so important. So swing your story. There's a bigger face, and what is that? A meaningful life. Okay, living out your mission in a noble story that is by definition bigger than yourself. There's no great story. Steve Jobs had to have, Steve Wozniak, both named Steve. Every great story, the Bill Gates of the world, all the great entrepreneurs, none of them, I don't know one that did it alone. I have a partner who's the technical guy, and I got to tell you, it's, I would not be here, without that partner and having eyes to see who we can, get together with. But if you want to live a better story, part of that is going to be having the eyes to see people that you work with and who you're going to marry, all those kinds of things, right? And it's just so important. So by definition, something bigger than yourself or cause bigger than yourself. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. So I was challenged. Because just even this past summer, I was working, negotiating with a VC. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about. I don't necessarily like VCs. I'll tell you a little bit more story later. Just, we generally go away from where our wounds are, right? You're not stupid. If you get slapped around over here, you just kind of don't want to be slapped around, so you move where it's not getting slapped around. So I was kind of negative about VCs, but again, the market was right to potentially get around to funding. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But we got on the phone. It was the day of closing this funding round, and this Wall Street guy, talk about, look, his job was to make money for other people. I get it. And he challenged me and said, you know what, Vance, I think your problem is? I said, yeah, tell me what my problem is. He said, you're too much of a missionary. I'm like, yeah? I mean, how can that be a problem? He said, well, my job, you know what it is make money for people. I don't think you'll ever sell. I'm like, I may not. I may want to do this kind of thing. But it started something in me. And no lie, that night, or maybe it was the following night, I'm really just confused and perplexed about this. You know, how much is an entrepreneur about in it for the money, which is we talk about here, and then how much are you in it for the mission? And where does that come together, and how does that play out? Well, in all companies, it's somewhat a continuum on this guy that, you know, I just found some cartoon characters ready to kill something. And then Charles Spurgeon character, you know, the preacher missionary types that, I'll die for this cause. You got that continuum, I'd die for this cause kind of thing. And so, for fun, as I realize, I'm not going to turn off, because you'll know this real quick, I'm not going to turn off the lights, you know, I'm not going to play it very long, but it is such a fun clip in Hollywood. It is one of the top 50 Hollywood clips as far as memorable of all time. So, okay, I will turn off the lights.
I will stay with you.
That's great.
Are you listening?
Yes.
I'm going to be with you. God bless you, Jerry. But this is what you're going to do for me. You listen? Jerry?
Yeah, what can I do for you, Ron? You just tell me what can I do for you.
It's a very personal, very important thing. Hell, it's a family matter.
Are you ready, Jim?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready.
Here it is. Show me the money.
No! Hey! Hey! Mother! Jerry! Doesn't make you feel good just to say that? Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show you the money.
Oh, no, you make me back to that, Jerry. I want you to say it with you with me, bro. Show me the money!
Okay. I mean, you just kind of want to do that. Maybe not. Great place in Hollywood. Show me the money. And here's the deal. You will be working with people, and your business objective, you will have to show your employer the money. You're going to have to show the money to hire people. You're going to have to be able, so, you know, those that go in with just their heart, and I'll tell you this, you know, just a story that I was thinking as I was having my, you know, was it a breakthrough or breakdown night of, you know, dealing with this VC and really thinking through this thing of like, well, is that all bad, being a mercenary? Because I'll tell you this, it's like, I remember the greatest memory I have of my dad, who is still alive. He went through a season when I was young, in fact, you know, probably about a sophomore. He had like, actually younger than that, but 4 years where he was disabled, okay, to do what he really wanted to do. So what did he do? Is he went out and seriously drove a seal test ice cream truck, okay, and delivered, you know, ice cream to the stores. And I got to tell you, when I talk about my dad, I am more proud of my dad that he would do that, drive a seal test ice cream truck at 5 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold, get in a cold refrigerated truck, and go do that. And is that a noble cause? And you know what? Putting food on the table is a noble cause. Making sugar water can be a noble cause. So my favorite story of my dad is a noble cause. And so I don't want to leave this room like it doesn't matter to provide for your family and make your employer money, because if you don't make the money, you will not survive. So learning the business skills and knowing how to come up with a budget and a business plan and understanding how to do accounting. I was reading about the #1 reasons entrepreneurs fail is they went into it with the wrong expectation of what it was going to be about. You know, they thought it was just going to be, you know, I'm just going to make money and then I won't have to work and all these kinds of things. And rarely does it look like that. It looks a lot different. So have something in the heart. But also another top reason that entrepreneurs fail is they were never trained how to do some basic accounting, some basic finance, some basic, you know, business skills that, you know, you learn in a program like this. So good stuff. And then, I'm not going to show hardly any of this in the interest of the Duke game, but a video clip that's really quick on the other side of that, of what was it that, do you remember in the clip of one person got up, for those of you who saw her name was Dorothy, that followed him, and you know, he went and said, they did fire him a week later, right, Jerry Maguire, and he couldn't believe they did it, and he went and said, well, of course everybody's going to join me because we have these relationships. Well, there's only one person that got up and followed him out, and you'll recognize this person.
care about the job, of course. But mostly, I just want to be inspired.
Me too.
What you wrote inspired me. Oh, no, hey, I'm working with you because of that memo. I love that memo.
On the other side of that, if you really believe that you can have a company and just pay them, 6 figures plus, I don't care what you pay them, but they're not happy and they're not inspired, then you also will not have a company that will last. It will just dissolve. And I'll do some case studies for some of that. But our chief want is someone who will inspire us to be what we know we could be. I will tell you this, inspire us to be what we know we can be. Some of the most impactful moments of my life is when somebody looked me in the eye and saw something that I could never see and spoke those words of, this is what I see in you, Vance, of what you could be, right? Do the work, and this is what it could look like. To be believed in. And if you're going to run a company, if you ever have a business, the best thing you can ever give anybody, including more than even the money, is spending enough time to get to know who they are, what their gifts are, make sure they're swinging their swords in their element, right? And believe in them. If you don't believe in them, get rid of them. Seriously, that's the hard part of the business life, right? It's people need and want, and it's the greatest gifts is to be believed in and to believe in someone and to tell them that. Look them in the eye and tell them that, and you will have. If there's number one piece of advice I'd ever give a leader, that's it. One-on-one. You don't have to be a great speaker in front of people, but if one-on-one you believe in somebody and you can see them for who they are truly,